Hey everybody, Beth Helvey, Michael Saunders and Company. I hope you're doing good today. It is July. I don't know how we got here. July 2nd right now. A couple days before the holiday weekend. The holiday actually falls on a Saturday this year. And so far the beaches are going to be open. I haven't heard anything as of, I think sometime this morning, that our local beaches are going to be closed. Hi Kim. Just a word of warning for those of you who are not from here. It's a super busy weekend normally. Hi, Angela, for our beaches. So if you are intending to go to the beach, just be prepared. Okay, so today we're talking about surveys. When you're buying real estate, do you have to have a survey? Depends. If you're getting a loan, yes. The only exception to that is if you are buying a property where you don't own the land. If you're buying a condo, or a townhouse where you don't own the land, or if you're buying a villa where you don't own the land, you do not need a survey because there's nothing to survey, okay? Because the association owns the land and you do not. If you're buying a single family home, hi Adrian, if you're buying a single family home, or if you're buying a property, a townhouse or a villa or a condo where you do own the land and you are getting a loan, you have to have a survey. This is why. Because let's face it, when you're getting a loan, who owns the house? You're on the title, but if you don't pay your loan back, the bank's going to take back your house. So technically speaking, they own the house. They want to know that what is being purchased is actually proper. They want to know what the land is. They want those boundaries, and you must have it. And on top of that, if you are buying a property in any flood zone with the exception of X is a no flood zone. If you're buying a property where any part of the property is in a flood zone, it could be 2 feet in the back. It could be a small little portion. You will have to have an elevation certificate, which is done at the same time as the survey. Okay, so your surveyor will go out there. He will survey the land. If you want it marked, you're going to have to pay extra for that. But they will survey the land and provide a elevation certificate for you to give to your lender and title company. You cannot close on a loan on your house without a survey. You can't do it. That is one of the conditions you must meet in order to get your loan. Okay, now we've got that. So let's say your seller has a survey, and we're going to say seller because in Florida, surveys are not public record. There is really no place for me to go where I can search for a survey. Once in a blue moon, I can find something, but there's really no place for me to go to find a previous survey. When a owner, either through the purchase of the house or another reason, gets a survey, they own it. And if they keep it, it's entirely up to them. It is not unusual for someone to have owned the house for a very long time and lost their survey. It usually gets thrown away when they throw away their closing documents, because you get it at closing. You get your paper copy at closing. So if the seller has one and is willing to provide it, they don't have to. If they're willing to provide it, you can take that and you can then give it to your closing agent and to your lender. Here's the catch. If there's been any changes, you have to have another survey. If a fence went up, if a fence came down, if a cage went up or a cage came down, if there's a pool, if there's a shed, if there's an addition, or if anything came down, you need to have another survey. If you submit to your lender and your title company a survey that is not complete, that is not accurate, it's going to come on you. Your lender and your title company is not going to verify that the survey is correct. Now, there are a few title companies. My closing agent will do some homework because I have a fantastic closing agent, and this is for Rock Next Law Group. So if you ever need a good one, they will do some extra homework to make sure that the survey is still correct. The closing agents there, David and Jen, will actually pop online and double check a few things. And if it looks a little off, they will reach out to me. Not every title company does this. It doesn't mean they're a bad title company. It's just how things are done, okay? So you need to be aware of that. It is up to you now, as the buyer, and me, as your realtor, when we get the survey, to look at it and go, well, wait a minute. Hi, Tom. When we saw the house, there was a shed on the house. When we saw the house, there was a cage on the house that's not noted on here. Or what happened to the driveway? It's now bigger than what the survey shows. You'll have to have another survey. So it helps to get that stuff early on, okay? and make sure that it's correct. If it's not correct, you're going to have it redone. It costs you anywhere from $400 to $600 or $700. A lot of that depends on how big the property is. The bigger the property, the more you're going to pay, just like for any other service in real estate. So you can use it, okay, and you can submit it and everything like that. If you submit an incorrect survey and it goes through, okay, and there is a claim, your title insurance may not cover it. So be very, very careful of this. And when in doubt, get another survey. If you're feeling anxious about it, get another survey. It's just the safest thing to do. And it helps protect your property. So now let's talk about easements. Every time you have a survey done, there is going to be exceptions. And there's one that's always going to be on there. When you have a survey done, it denotes where the easements are in relation to your house. There is always going to be an exception for your driveway, because your driveway is going to go through the front easement of the property. That's where your drainage ditches are. That's possibly where some sewer lines are. It's possibly where some electric lines are. It's utility stuff. It's always going to be denoted on your survey. Don't let that bother you. It's perfectly normal. Everybody has that, okay? If you have a fence that's put up, there may be an exception on there if your fence gets close to where the easements are, okay? So then if that's the case, it'll be another thing that's noted. Don't let that bother you. There are certain things that we just understand are exceptions and we deal with. What that means for you is if the utility company needs to come through and do any work, technically speaking, they can take your fence down or tear up your driveway to work on utilities, okay? And they don't have to have permission if you are going into their boundaries. Every survey that has a driveway, every survey that has a fence where there's an easement, there's going to be this notation. It's perfectly normal, and this is kind of what happens in real estate. Doesn't mean your fence is going to come down. Most people never even experience this. It's just something that's noted on your survey, okay? Now, something fun about surveys. You need to have a surveyor who knows what they're doing, because you may have county easements that are different than your neighborhood easements. And this actually happened to me last year. The neighborhood easements were larger than the county easements. The neighborhood wanted that neighborhood to have a certain look. I had a buyer, we bought a house where the back end of the porch encroached on the neighborhood easement by like 2 or 3 inches. It's an encroachment. Technically speaking, the neighborhood could have come to this buyer and said, tear it down. You're not where you're supposed to be. But what had happened was this property had passed through, I think, 2 sales and wasn't picked up by either title company. We picked it up and we corrected it. We were able to grant an exception. We were able to grant the exception, hi Patricia, because the house had been there for so long, okay? And it was just a couple inches. It's really a paperwork formality. It's something that you can do. But when you are buying a property, you need to check into those things. And we have a couple areas here in Sarasota where the neighborhood easements are different than the counties. And if the neighborhood easement space is larger than the county easement space, that's something else that needs to be denoted on your survey to make sure you're within your boundaries. Now, this house had passed through 2 closings and it wasn't an issue. Technically speaking, it probably could have been grandfathered in had these buyers sold it again. You know, it probably would have been fine, but they wanted it fixed. And, you know, you really can't blame them. So we went ahead and had it fixed. We did the extra paperwork, we got it taken care of. But these are things that are noted on the survey that you need to be aware of, okay? So again, if your fence line is up against the county easement, or if when your driveway goes to the county easement, that's fine, that's normal. But you're going to see those notations on your survey. Don't let it freak you out. It's when your neighbor's pool is in your yard, or your fence is in their yard, and things like that. And then that's when we get into trying to figure stuff out. But these normal kind of county things are what we're accustomed to seeing and working with. So if you're buying a house and you're getting a loan, you have to have a survey. That's it. And if you're buying a house where even a smidgen of it is in a flood zone, you're going to have an elevation certificate, because you're going to need to submit that to your insurance company, and you have to have flood insurance in order to get your loan. So it's all kind of wrapped up together and tangled up together. So we will take care of those things for you when you're buying a house, but that is the nuts and bolts of surveys. You don't need to necessarily learn how to read a survey, although it is useful if you can have a basic understanding. If you have any questions of it, you ask me or you ask your closing agent or you ask your surveyor, and they're happy to go over all that information with you. So it is Thursday, July 2nd. We made it to July. It is a wonderful day here. It is warm. We're in the low 90s. It's going to rain this afternoon because it's Florida, and this is kind of how we are. If you have the opportunity to get outside and get some vitamin D, I encourage you to do so. Please keep your social distancing and drink lots of water because it's hot out there. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Bye now.